So I just kind of want to go over everything I was listening to while I was at work today. Like a little book report, I guess, but a YouTube report, I suppose. I'm a painter. I work outside, and so I got my little headphone in my ear all the time, and always trying to maximize my learning and try to get something good out of work other than just, you know, dog, 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 that kind of shit. I mean, I enjoy painting, but anyway, so yeah, vibration and frequency. Let's talk about that. I was listening to a lot of things on that today. And also, there was the personal Mandela effect happened to me today. I noticed it as soon as I was driving to work today. So I drive from Las Vegas, New Mexico to Santa Fe, New Mexico every day. It's like 67 miles one way. And there's times where you can miss something, you're going by it every day and you don't notice it or whatever. And then you're like, oh, I never noticed that before. But I'm starting to wonder now. I'm like, well, maybe these things that I didn't notice are actually things that are popping into existence. It feels like things are going in and out of existence, though I can't be for sure. But this thing today, it caught my eye immediately. It's a stop like right before you get to Santa Fe. It's called Klein's Corner, I thought. And today it changed to Klein's Corners. And there's like 3 or 4 signs, like saying it's coming up. Every time I saw it, I just looked at it and I was like, oh, that's no. When did that happen? Well, obviously, overnight, something shifted, changed. I don't know. This whole shit just makes you think you're freaking going crazy. It's like just a little fucking change, like an S added, you know. Klein's Corners. That doesn't even make sense. Klein's Corner makes sense. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was, unless I was just reading it wrong like the entire time that I've been driving for this past year. I don't think that's the case because my eye kept being drawn to it every time I saw it today. I'm like, something recognized that it was different in me. You always have that. And then that update tries to sneak in. You're just like, what the fuck? Well, maybe it was. But there's a lot of that Mandela effects that are like that, just one letter change. I'd say like maybe 75 to 80% of those I'm affected by. There's very few that I'm not. But yeah, Klein's Corners. I don't know. Guess you had to be here. But anyway, yeah, frequency and vibration. I was listening to this guy talk about 528 megahertz. So 528 megahertz apparently is like the vibration of the heart chakra. It's the vibration of a blade of grass, and its color is like a yellowish green. I've heard, both sides before that, like, green is just like a sickly color, and it can be because, a lot of things when they're putrid or like pus or something, that's the same color, but that also indicates life, there's something fucking growing in there, So, I mean, yeah, it may be bad to us, but it's good to the life that's growing in there. So, yeah, 528 hertz. And apparently there's one frequency that is dissonant with all of that, and that's 741 hertz. Which, I don't know. what else I can say on that, other than I could think about different times in my life, like the type of vibrations that I was ingesting and what I was going through at that time in my life. Like there was a phase after my mom died where I was listening to nothing but black metal, you know, and I was fucking bitter. I hated God, hated the whole thing. Like just, I had so much like anger and just rage inside of me, you know, like, and I don't think it was just over my mom's death. I think it was just in general. But God, that that whole thing led to a very bad deal there. Yeah, I think I started listening to all that when I lived in Los Angeles. And right after I started listening to all that, that's when the whole 2008 crisis hit. Me and my ex-wife, we were out in LA and she was in porn and I was like a stay-at-home doggy dad. Yeah. She was like, oh yeah, you deserve to make art, you know, because we were both art students and stuff like that. We were supposed to be professors. We were both going to go to, she was in grad school and I was like last year of my undergrad. I'm rambling now, sorry, but it's all relevant and interesting too, to a degree. But anyway, yeah, like so when I was a driver for this porn agency out there in Los Angeles, I met this guy named Dave. What's up, Dave? You're somewhere. I know you are. Cool guy, man. We went so-called hiking all the time. It was which is more like rock jumping and intense rock climbing and stuff like that. If anybody knows Stony Point in the West San Fernando Valley, that's where we went all the time. It was awesome. But he always listened to black metal and death metal, and he liked to fucking smoke weed constantly. So he'd call me up and be like, oh, let's go hiking. And he'd just be jamming that shit all the time, and I kind of like begrudgingly put up with it back then, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, dude, I can't get into all this shit, you know. And then my mom died back in Illinois. This was 2007. And after that, I embraced all that energy. And I don't know why it affected me like that. You know, death is a motherfucker, you know. I think it makes us like sort of wake up to our own mortality. And we get bitter about our entire existence. Not every death makes you feel that way, but my mom's death did. She was like my one great advocate, I thought, in life. You know, I always had, she was kind of like an emotional crutch. Like I always, you know, relied on her. If ever the whole world hated me, at least I still had my mom and she loved me, you know. But I think we're all sort of like victims of these vibrations that go through the air, especially like I was really sort of intensely looking for something decent to watch in Truther community. I'm subscribed to like, you know, all these channels, and I'm just trying to see what people are putting out. And there's a whole lot of low vibe shit out there, man. They're just like people arguing. You know, it's just, I couldn't latch on to anything until I started going into my own playlist that I had saved. And I found this one called Matrix Breaking, and it had a lot of frequency stuff. And Seven Bomar was on there. That guy's really cool, and I'd seen the video before a long time ago. It's from 2017. You guys ever listen to him? I'm sure you know that one. It was called like Deep Programming Your Mind, and he was sort of breaking down language and, you know, I don't know where to go from this. So basically, what I'm saying is, like, you need to be careful about the shit you listen to and put into you, because that's what's going to come out. You know, I would say right now we're under a full out assault that is trying to get us into those lower vibrations, because these entities that feed on this shit, I think they're getting pretty desperate, because there's a lot of us that are vibing high, you know, and we see through all this horse shit because we are vibrating high. But man, they are doing their best to drag a motherfucker down, you know. So I guess my whole message is, you know, be very, very cognizant of what you're listening to, what you speak, what you are saying in your own mind. I remember back in 2014 or 2015, I was up in Alaska with my buddy. I was a hiking guide up there. And he was, you know, suggesting that I do this or that. I should do this, I should do that. And I was coming up with excuses why I couldn't. And he's like, listen to yourself. He's like, you're killing it before you even get going, you know, you just speak negatively. Yeah, I mean, that's going to create a negative situation, you know. So you think, so you are. And thoughts are vibrations, because they're collections, vibrational energy of words, and which are associated with syllables, which is associated with sound and vibration. So it affects you just like, you know, a really shitty black metal, which I still like a lot of that shit, you know, but I don't listen to it. God, unless I, like, you know, really want to need to be negative at a certain point or something like that. But it's very unappealing to me now. Somehow I got through all of my addiction to negativity. You know, that's the whole thing, is like, there's a lot of these guys out there that are women too. We're just addicted to the negative, and that's where the money is in the low vibe shit, you know. So they got us in this situation where we got to get by and survive, and what everybody loves, and I catch myself doing it too. Like, I'm like scrolling through it, I'm looking at different shit, and I'm like, oh, let's find out what's going on with this fake war scenario or this or that, you know. And I'm like, oh, well, I just want to know I'm fine, you know. It still affects you, you know. It's really hard to change your diet, you know. It's like you gotta to go from one vibration to another it's unappealing, because we get comfortable with those vibrations, you know. Like, we get addicted to the things that are terrible for us, and we justify it because we're just like, oh, well, I like it. Yeah, well, what are you doing to your environment too? Like, you're bringing everybody else down with your shitty vibe, you know. So, yeah, this motherfucker's coming up on my ass here real quick. Hold on, guys. Man, we have had storms pretty much every day. And I want to point out that there's been an extreme amount of electricity in these storms too. It's not normal. Like, New Mexico's a pretty dry fucking place, but man, it's been wet. Like, just continual. People were trying to say it was monsoon, like, way early. I'm like, isn't that like August, September, which it is now? But it was like this way earlier, like May. I don't know, and I've been noticing changes in the animals, like the way they're behaving and stuff. Like, it's really bizarre shit. Like, some of the birds that were hanging out around us that we liked for a long time. I think they were there for like a year and a half. Now they've moved on. Really cool birds, really unique ones. Something made them leave. And then, like I saw, I work at a small place. You see every kind of critter that lives there. You get to know them all. Like I've seen like one squirrel there, like a fox squirrel, and then today all of a sudden I saw a little gray squirrel, but he was super shy. Like I don't know. It's like they live underground or something. He actually went underground. He went under the sidewalk. I never did see his face, but yeah, that was kind of strange. And then the ants are behaving really weird. It's like they're disoriented or in chaos. Like they seem to be like working, like, because I'm painting on freaking, a lot of the stuff is like stucco barriers that are like connected to the ground outside and stuff like that. So I always have to push the little guys out of the way. I try not to kill any of them, but it's pretty hard not to sometimes. But yeah, they're acting really strange, like carrying weird shit. Like, I know ants do that kind of thing, but man, that was a hell of a bolt of lightning. It's cool. And then one was carrying another ant. And I don't know if the ant was dead and he was like taking care of his friend or something like that. It kind of looked like it. But I've never seen that kind of behavior either. I don't know. Maybe I just don't look enough, but yeah, this is a hodgepodge of just me thinking out loud right now. There's nothing really crucial here other than be conscious of your vibration, because that creates your reality. You can affect your reality by what you take in, and what you take in is what is going to come out. So just be aware of that. If your life sucks, start examining the vibrations around you. Like what other people in your life are doing or listening to. People that watch TV all the fucking time. I can take it to the bank that shit's low vibe, Not only that, it's probably got a bunch of subliminal messaging and shit like that in it. I mean, we know they were doing that even back in the 60s. Wow, that's some intense lightning. Big ass bolts like striking the ground. Here, look. It'd be cool if I could catch one on camera real quick. I don't think I can, but see, I'm thinking all negative already. Of course I can catch a lightning bolt. On my phone. Come on, give me a good one. I want to see. Okay, well, anyway. Yeah, so then we get to the music scale. Like, those motherfuckers intentionally took us off of 432 hertz to 440 hertz, which is like a dissonant vibration. I don't know if you guys know anything about all that. I don't really know a whole lot about it other than there's great power in projecting sound vibrations. And it's sort of like the base realization in all this is like everything is vibration, and that the base vibration of the earth, well, there's the Schumann resonance, which is like 7 point, I don't know, is it like 2.8 or something like that, 7.3 hertz, something like that. And then grass is vibrating at 528 hertz. Yeah, I don't know. We're not in step with the way things should be. All right, you guys might have a little trouble hearing me on this. All right, let's see if we can think of something else to talk about. Okay, well, we'll relate it to one of my UFO stories. I think the reason we don't see them a lot of times is because they're vibrating. They can vibrate at a frequency that is higher than what our senses can perceive. At least our physical eyes and stuff like that. And then when we do see them and they pop out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're there, then it's because they've come down to a frequency range that we can perceive. Now, I don't know how all this works. Like, how does a UFO continue to work? What does it have to be made of to continue to function yet be invisible? Like, so if there's people on the craft, then they must be vibrating at that frequency too. And they could probably no longer be called physical. But as we've been saying, physical is nothing more than vibrating molecules as well. That was close. Oh yeah, so like on a trip one time, or many times. So one of the things I noticed quite a bit when I was on LSD, it's been numerous times, I don't even know how many times, but like when you get a drink of water, you got a little cup of water in front of you, you can tell that substance, that element, it's composed of like different colored molecules. Like not only do they exist, I don't know if it's actual molecules or not, but you can see like a field in there that's vibrating and composed of small circles that are both blue and red. I believe, if memory serves, that there's kind of like a red dot in the middle with like a blue circle around it. And that's what water molecules look like. And sometimes you'll even see what looks like letters or numbers inside of those circles. I don't know if anybody's ever talked about this stuff. I'm sure there's some acid heads out there that have conveyed this kind of experience. I talk about this stuff an awful lot, but I don't trip on acid much, guys. I'm 45. I have a pretty delicate balance in there, you know, like I got to plan something like that out well in advance because it takes like 2 days to recover fully. But at the same time, if you do it right, it can punch you up to the next higher vibration, you know. And I think ultimately maybe, you know, if your awareness is higher than most people, it seems like what the Mandela effect is out to do is capture the awareness of people and try to get them thinking about higher things, you know, which will raise the collective vibration. And then once we can hold that vibration, we can start pulling everybody else up with us. Like, there's so few people that I can talk to about the Mandela effect. I don't know why it fucks with people so much, you know? I mean, yeah, I sort of have a good idea, but they're protecting their paradigm, like their paycheck depends on it, you know? They have to think that this was a physical reality that's solid and doesn't change. But I've sort of found this guy at work. He's 19 years old, and he's an open book, you know, like he doesn't know anything about like the past, very little, man. Like he knows who Pikachu is, and he's like, of course Pikachu has a black tip on his tail. And I was like, no. And then when I was showing him, I was like, I started seeing a bunch of residue on there where he did. And not only just residue, but there was, it looked like disinformation, like it was trying to present itself as an official sort of rendition of Pikachu. with a black tip on the tail. So they're fighting this shit pretty hard, man. They don't want people to go on a higher vibration. And I think I know why. Because these lower entities, they're on the lower astral realm. These reptilians, parasites, probably the grays too. They're on the level just right above us. Like they're vibrating on a higher vibration, but they're on the lowest higher vibration. A lot of people would say the fourth dimension, I guess. But I think we can go straight to that fifth dimensional thing. And these are like a dimension means just a vibration. So if like you can equate it with temperature and hertz and all that shit. I mean, there's a gradated reality, and we just have a small window of perception to a certain vibrational range. But very obviously, there's a sort of controlling force that's not human, that's right outside this vibrational range. And sometimes we see them. And I think they can manifest physically too, which that doesn't happen very often. Like, I think a lot of people think that they are just disguised by like a hologram and like they're posing as us. It's like it's holographic technology, but no, I think they are on a little higher vibration than we are. But it seems like they're stuck. Like, I keep going back to this life feeds on life thing. The higher always feeds on the lower. We do the same thing, like we dominate species and use them as food. We don't think shit about it, but it's a fucking terrible thing when you think about it, Who the fuck made reality this way where it has to be life feeding on other life? I mean, even if we're just eating plants are alive. I think consciousness is throughout all life, It may not be the same type of awareness that we have, but they've done tests on things you wouldn't think had feelings or respond to pain. But oh man, critters, they feel pain. They're plants like certain energy. They thrive on higher vibrations. I hear that like if you have a 528 megahertz thing going on with your plants, that the yield is like 10 times higher. But yeah, it's a hell of a place we live in where you're forced to well, maybe not forced, but that's the modus operandi that they've got us in, is that we must eat, we must feed on what is below us. Well, in the same way, I think that's what these so-called higher entities are doing to us. But if we ascend, then we see them, and they can't do it anymore. They can't feed on us, whether it's like an actual eating of us or like a vibrational feeding, which I've encountered that many times. I've seen it in people. I've experienced it. That's some of the most intense experiences I've ever had in my life. Nothing will wake you up like being fed on, like psychically fed on. Like somebody taking all the good shit out of you and just literally leaving you with nothing. It's what we call psychic vampires, but I think it's deeper than just like our superficial understanding of a psychic vampire. I think there's something non-human behind that. Like it could be analogous to how we look at cows. We could be their cows. And I think that's what this place is, really. I mean, it's a farm, it's an energy farm. And there's different levels to the whole thing. So who the hell, if they were a creator, would set something up like this, where you have to eat, you have a stomach to continue experiencing life, you have to ingest other life, whether it be plant or animal. It's like my buddy said back in the day, you're caught. Oh, buddy. Miss that guy. Hell of a philosopher. But yeah, no, music is a powerful thing, man. If you guys can project, positivity through music and your art or whatever it is that you create, just know that you can affect a change, at least in your local environment. If you can get just a few people to start changing their frequency, and they're in the middle of a bunch of low frequency shit, then maybe they can find somebody. Like, I don't go out preaching to anybody. Why? Because my own family, all of my friends that I thought I had, they all think I'm fucking crazy because I'm noticing changes in my environment, or I believe this or I believe that because it doesn't fall into the mainstream line of consensus reality. But I think this change is coming no matter what, and we're the harbingers of it. And whoever these entities are, they know their time is short. Let's go back to the Bible. I think the Bible is dead on. There's been many times where I've experienced fucked up things in life, and I'm like, I have this sort of private awakening in my mind where I'm like, oh man, the Bible is telling the truth. The truth is in there. That's what's happened. There is some kind of like cosmic battle going on. I think we have benefactors that are higher vibrational too. And they're trying to wake us up. So maybe it's those, 5D benefactors that are making these changes to our reality to try to wake us up to the other entities that are feeding on us. I don't know if anybody's read any Pleiadian stuff. It's channeled information. All that shit is suspect. Even in the Pleiadian messages, I believe they said in there that they talk about lizards. They talk about the reptilians, and I think they even imply that they are reptilians. So I don't know. It's a whole predator prey thing, man. Everybody's caught in this food chain. But we know that through meditation and breathing exercises and things like this, there are yogis there on the plane, whatever, that they defy physical needs. Like, they can actually vibrate at such high frequencies. Like, and I've been on this level before. It's kind of difficult to maintain when we're in this sea of low vibration. But you can get to the point to where you can just respirate through your skin, and that's all you need, because ultimately everything is just vibration. So, I mean, maybe we're not slaves to our stomachs like we think we are. Even though we have one, doesn't mean you have to use it. You can still function. Fasting is a thing. It happens. And I think our mind can, literally shape our reality, our physical appearance. I don't know, guys. These are just some little breadcrumbs and things for you guys to chase and investigate. Just kind of throwing my mind out there for a second. But I'm back home, and Sophie needs to go for a run, so I will talk to you guys later. Have an awesome day. Keep those vibes high, guys. It's very important right now. Thank you. Bye.